if I'm considering building an embedded system, why would I consider Windows XP embedded?
As opposed to some of the other products out there.
Yeah.
So, just 2 days back, Sean Liming, who's the author of XP Embedded, he came to my office to get some review for the Service Pack 2 changes that he's doing to his book.
Okay.
So I asked him this question. So one of the things that I was surprised was he started his own company, and he said, I said, you must be getting a lot of consulting revenue, and he said, not as much as I expected, because you guys made it so easy with your tools that an embedded OEM can easily actually build an embedded configuration without too much of difficulty, right? What we have done is broken down Windows into building blocks, right? So you don't have to worry about anything at the source code compilation level. We have made building blocks where it is like when my daughter was actually building a toy the other day with these Lego blocks. That's what our tools reminded me of, right?
Right.
You can pick the things that you want, do a dependency check. It goes, since we have described the dependency tree in our component database, you get only those things, and bang, you can build an embedded image that fast. I have seen people who had no clue with Windows Embedded use our tools with a little bit of ramp up, right? In 1 to 2 hours, they are able to actually get a device up and running with XP Embedded.
Wow.
So that I think that's one of the competitive advantages that we have over Linux or some of the other system builders that have to build embedded devices. We can bring to market devices a lot faster than those.
Okay. So Windows XP Embedded is based on the same binaries as the desktop, and the desktop version of Windows is not a real-time operating system. Obviously, we have Windows CE, which is a real-time operating system. Is there a way for me to get Windows XP Embedded to be real-time as well?
So since we use the same binaries as XP Pro, XP Embedded, the operating system when you install, it is differentiated as an XP Embedded operating system, but the underlying binaries are using XP Pro. And as you realize, XP Pro is a general purpose operating system. So some of the functionality that is built into XP Pro is not very conducive for real time. So for embedded, how did we solve that problem? Right? We have some third-party companies like VentureCom who write real-time extensions on top of Windows XP Embedded that customers can use. Another company that comes to mind is a company called KUKA Roboter that, once when I went to Europe, I saw a pretty cool demo where they showed some real-time capabilities of a robot that was actually doing a roller coaster ride with actual people in it. And they used a solution with both Windows CE and XP Embedded, where they used Windows CE for the real-time capabilities and XP Embedded to actually have support for their applications. So it was sort of a solution with both the operating system. So that is a choice as well.
Okay. So one of the things you mentioned there was installing the Windows XP Embedded operating system. So when I built my operating system for Windows XP Embedded, do I run a setup program of some kind to install this on my target hardware? Or how do I get my operating system image onto the hardware?
So for embedded devices, we didn't want people to actually run through the traditional setup on the embedded devices because that's pretty dumb, right? So that's where our tools come into play. So typically when an OEM buys the embedded tools, they get a box. So they install that on a developer machine or a reference device where they want to actually build an image for the embedded device. So they end up actually installing that on a development machine. And we have tools written that can actually probe the embedded device so that you know which components to include for the image that you're building. We make it easy in that sense. And then you build an image offline that has already most of the setup pre-configured.
Right.
So all you're doing is deploying that to your embedded device. And you can use things like remote boot setup or other deployment mechanisms that you have. And you are just copying the system over to the embedded device. And you turn on the embedded device, it is ready to go. Agreed, it goes through certain things that needs to unify the machine in terms of like first boot actions that we couldn't capture it completely offline. So it goes through very minimal setup.
Okay, very good. So is there anything else you want to tell us about Windows XP Embedded while we're here?
Well, you probably require a different session for that because there's a lot more security enhancements than that we added, more than what I just talked about. Windows Firewall is a totally different area. Right, the things that we did there, Internet Explorer, Attachment Manager, all the things that we did for RPC, COM. I would love to talk about it maybe in another session. It will probably be too long if I talk about all those things now.
Okay, so in that case, maybe I'll come back.
All right.
Very good.
Thanks, Mike.